Alright, guys, I know it looks messier than normal. I've been doing a ton of reorganizing. I've been selling off a lot of stuff that I didn't enjoy or I could just do without. I've been trying to clear up some space and I'm reorganizing, so everything is like everywhere and nothing is organized anymore. I've been trying to find new space for things, and I try to angle it so you guys will see like as little mess as possible. But yeah, I've got just like stuff everywhere. I'm trying to figure it out. But anyways, we're gonna be talking about everything that I read in January. I've read, well, I finished 6 books. I'm halfway through another book. I'm halfway through The Grapes of Wrath, so we'll talk about that in next month's video. But we'll start with this one. I read part of it last month, but this is a book of interviews by Peter Bogdanovich called Who the Devil Made It. And I gotta say, I had such a strange interaction with a customer who saw me reading this book. She saw it on my desk and she just comes over like, she says something like, baby, what you reading about the devil for? And I'm like, that's just the title. It's got nothing to do with the devil. And she goes, baby, well, that's how he gets you. Like, I don't know. And I think she was a Jehovah's Witness, and she starts telling me like, you gotta go to like Jehovah.org or something. I don't know what it was. And she was just getting like a little crazy, and the whole time I couldn't wait for her to get away from me. But I bought this book back in 2021. It's out of print, and it's not really a hard book to find, but at the time I was just struggling to find it for like less than $50, and I think I finally scored it for like 20 or 25, and I was intimidated. It's got, I think, 16 different film directors that are interviewed here, and at the time I was interested in reading it, but then I was a little like, I guess I was just intimidated and overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen like movies by half these people. And now that enough time's gone by, and well, I still haven't seen some of these directors. I haven't seen movies by them, but I think most of them I've seen at least one. So I figured it was a good enough time to dive in. Big chunky book. Let's see, how many pages is it? There's like a big like index at the end. It's like, yeah, it's like 800 and like, I don't know, 11 pages, 12, 13. Yeah, like 813 pages by the time you get to the final interview with Sidney Lumet. And yeah, it's just a really fun book. A good Alfred Hitchcock interview, and interesting Fritz Lang interview in here as well. Howard Hawks was pretty interesting. Who else? Yeah, Raoul Walsh, he was also pretty interesting. Yeah, it was a pretty cool book. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, to be honest. But yeah, it was just a neat, fun book of interviews. And then after that, so kind of, if I read like a book that might be a little daunting, whether it's the subject matter or if it's just the length and it's like 800 pages, I will always try and find something that is thin, easy to read, something that you don't have to think too much about. And that is why I went with this book here, The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. And I've never read anything by Ernest Hemingway, and after reading this, I never want to again. I can honestly say I was just completely bored with it. The only good thing is it's like 125 pages, 127, and you could read it in like one sitting. I read half of it like before my shift, and then a little of it during my shift, and then I finished it like the next morning before work. I was just bored out of my mind. Next, we have an all-time favorite. Oh my god, I cannot believe I put off reading this for so long. I had my eye on this book ever since I heard of it when the movie came out a few years ago, and I wanted to read it, and I just never got around to it, and I found it for maybe like $6 or $7 at Half Price Books. And then when I was looking for something to read after The Old Man and the Sea, I just came down here and I've got like stacks of books, and I kind of like everything's in random piles, but sometimes if I see something, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm in the mood to read this soon. I'll like put it into a specific pile. which is kind of, you might see the edge of it like around here ish, but like most of these over here are like on my my new standing desk. Most of these are like books I want to read pretty soon ish if I can, and it was just on top of that pile. I had just stuck it down, and I when I came down here to find something, I just picked it right off the top of the pile, and that's Killers of the Flower Moon. It was such an interesting book, and you know the movie is, what is it, like 3.5 hours, close to like 4 hours, something like that. And when I'm reading this, I was like, oh my god, I could see why it's going to be like 4 hours, because there's all this mystery, all these subplots, all the who killed this person, who killed that person, because the Osage Indians, they were kicked off their land, and they were given just like the worst screwed up deal by the U.S. government. I guess that is kind of redundant. Any deal you get from the government just absolutely sucks. But they got kicked off their land, and the government gives them like this really terrible, like rocky soil, just like the worst place. Well, it turns out that there's oil underneath their land, and they're all suddenly rich because everybody wants to buy the oil. And then white people come down and marry them, and then mysteriously they die one by one. Some are poisoned, some are shot, and the white people just keep getting richer, and that's how it kind of goes. And you know, the whole time I'm reading this, there's just like so many interesting things. Like this one, like there's like detectives in here, all these people, and one guy like puts in like this phone call, like I got the evidence, and blah blah, and he goes on a train, and then he never gets off the train. They're like, oh my god, he vanished, and then later they find his dead body like had been thrown off the train, and whatever I think they might have actually found him naked, and just like whatever he had on him was gone. And the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, this is gonna make such a crazy movie. And I just, you know, always heard everybody loves the movie Killers of the Flower Moon, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. So I put on the movie, and I will say it's a well-made movie, but I didn't like it. I didn't like the story in the movie, because the movie is basically Goodfellas set in the 1920s, and I feel like it didn't focus on the Native Americans at all, and their struggles and everything that happened to them, and the whole movie's from the perspective of the evil white guys, and they're just having a grand old time. And also in the book Killers of the Flower Moon, at some points you might read it and say it's obvious this guy's the killer, it all goes back to him. But there are times, just because of the events that happen and things that may or may not have happened, and everything you're trying to sort out, what's the lie, what's the truth, who killed this person, who killed that person. There are times where you might doubt it a little bit. You might say maybe it wasn't him, or maybe it was him plus somebody else. Maybe it's this person. I don't know. Whole large conspiracy. What is going on? And that part, that's just not in the movie, because the movie tells you in the first 10 minutes, this guy's the killer. And I think some of the motives just didn't make sense. I mean, light spoilers, but you know, there's the killer, the guy that's like the ringleader, Robert De Niro, in the movie, and then his Leo plays his nephew, and the nephew just makes no sense, because in the book, the nephew character you might just read like, oh, he's just a scumbag. In the movie, I don't think they were sure what to do with him, because they're so, like, I don't know, I guess they were so afraid to make the character a scumbag, because there are parts that they just completely contradict and make no sense, and not in a good way where you might show, like, the good and bad sides of a character. It's like showing him being like, I'm so in love with my wife, I love her, and oh no, she can't hate me for killing her whole family. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me, because he's like, on the one hand, he's like, yes, uncle, I will help you kill them all and inherit their money. And then he was like, oh, but I really love you, though. And it just did not make any sense. It just did not hit for me. So I'm not a guy that's always like, the book is always better, because there are times where the movie is better, like with Jaws. It's much better. But yeah, it's just like no comparison. I feel like they didn't even use anything from the book. They like took the title, which is probably like the coolest title ever. They took the title, they took the character names, they took like the basic plot, and then they just remade Goodfellas. It's like, I don't know how many times they're gonna remake Goodfellas. Like, they remade Goodfellas like the next year is like Casino, and then they remake it like 30 years later as Killers of the Flower Moon. It's just all Goodfellas. Anyways, that book is written by David Grann, and I wanted to read another book by David Grann, so I ordered The Wager. But before The Wager could come in, I had nothing to read. I needed to find something to read. So then I went to my bookshelves and I grabbed a random book. This is called The Killer Across the Table by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker, I guess is how you might say his name. Now, these guys wrote the book Mindhunter. Mindhunter. I loved it. I read that book a few years ago. The show was good too. I think it's only, what is it, like 19 episodes? It's really good. They canceled it. I wish they didn't because I really like that show. But they wrote Mindhunter. Mindhunter is an excellent book. There's a sequel to Mindhunter and called Journey into Darkness. And it was basically like the same thing. Like, how many times are they going to remake Goodfellas? How many times are they going to remake Mindhunter? The sequel to Mindhunter, Journey into Darkness, was basically the same thing, same cases. I thought I was like reading like a misprint or something. I was like, did they just put the cover like on the wrong book? And I was like, I opened up both of them to compare, and I don't know, it was like just the same stuff over and over. No new insights, no really new cases, and I felt the same thing here reading The Killer Across the Table. Now it says, unlocking the secrets of serial killers and predators with the FBI's original Mindhunter. And I just felt like I learned nothing new in this book. I'm very interested in true crime stuff, and yeah, I don't know. This just felt like it didn't really teach me anything, and even though some of the cases, like the cases were new, they weren't necessarily cases that were covered in Mindhunter, but it's like every couple pages he would be like, and then just like when we were working on this other case that I mentioned in Mindhunter before, and I just, oh my god, it was a slog to get through, but you know, it's not very lengthy. It's just 330 something pages. It's not terribly long. I think it might have taken me like a week to get through, but that's just because I was like kind of uninterested. But I'm I'm almost like Larry David on Curb. He's made this joke maybe once or twice, I think a couple times, where he's like, even if I have to finish everything I start. If I start a 500-page book and I hate it, I'll have to finish it. Like, yeah, I'm just kind of the same. I don't very often like just rage quit a book. It just has to be like the most boring or dumb or stupid thing for me not to finish. So anyways, while I was reading The Killer Across the Table, I got The Wager by David Grann. This book is very cool. Let's see, how long is it? There's like a lot of like pages of like notes and references. Like, I really appreciate that. Even though I don't read like the notes where he like just cites all his sources, I just really appreciate how he's got like hundreds of sources, and he's like, so, you know, if you want to actually verify where all of it comes from, he's got like pages of it. But like, besides the notes, let's see, it's 322-ish pages. And it's also one that I finished in like 2 or 3 days. I forget if I mentioned that about Killers of the Flower Moon. I finished that in like 2 days. The Wager, I finished it in about 3. What was funny was after I read it, I read some reviews. I really liked it. I read some reviews, and somebody called it like the most detailed book that's also extremely vague, and I thought that was hilarious because it's true. I think my one problem with The Wager, I really did like it, just a little bit less though than Killers of the Flower Moon, but I think the problem is a lot of the characters are so samey. Now, The Wager is basically the ship, there was a shipwreck, and the ship's called The Wager, and these guys all basically, it turns into Lord of the Flies, and they're trying to get back to, where are they even from? Europe, Britain, I don't know. That stuff, England, it's all like the same to me. But yeah, they're stranded in like the tip like South America, and they're just trying to get back. and there's all sorts of drama and stuff that happens. And I think really I would have appreciated like a character list at the start of this book if there was just a list of the characters and also what each of their titles means, because I know nothing about like boats and ships and stuff. And some of them, like one guy is a gunner and another one's like a ship's something. You know, I mean, if someone's called a captain, I mean, you get what that is. But the other terms, I just, you know, didn't want to, I don't know, you know, open up Google like 100 times to remind myself, like, what is this thing? I would have liked like if there was like a character list at the start. But yeah, the characters kind of blend together. Outside of the captain, his name's Captain Cheap. Um, Outside of that, they all did kind of blend together, but the story was interesting. So basically, it turns in Lord of the Flies. They revolt against the captain, and a bunch of the men like leave and try to make their way back home, and they like kind of overthrow him, and they did all this illegal stuff, and then he shows up. Captain Cheap shows up. I don't remember, like maybe like a year later or something, with like two other dudes, and they expose everything, and it's pretty crazy. I will say though, all these guys were idiots. So there is one part in this book. Oh my god, this book was actually very interesting. Even though I said the characters are all samey, like so much interesting stuff happens. There's one part I couldn't believe how stupid these guys were. They're stranded there on some little island down in like South America. They're just absolutely screwed. They are starving. And weeks, months later, I forget, these like canoe people show up. These natives, these locals that basically live in their canoes, and they just, you know, fish and swim, and they dive into the water with like a basket, come back up with like fish. Like just these wild natives like show up and approach them. And these guys from the Wager end up, you know, as best they can communicate with the natives, like, we're starving, we've got no food. So the natives go and trade with another tribe. They bring them back some sheep, they bring them back fish, salt, all sorts of stuff. They help them out, they like start some fires, have like a big feast with them. And instead of staying on the good side of the natives and using their help, maybe they could help them to survive and to get off of here, the men from the Wager get so horny that they try and sleep with the wives of the native men, the canoe people that are helping them out. And so the canoe people they leave and they do not come back. And oh my god, just the dumbest people. But it was a very interesting book. It was a good read. I'm excited to read some more stuff by David Grann. I will definitely be picking up his other books. I think he's got maybe like 5 books maybe. So yeah, and also The Wager, I think, was optioned as a movie by Martin Scorsese. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. I mean, that dude's like 100 years old, and filming on a ship is like notoriously like crazy difficult. So yeah, I don't know if he's ever gonna make that, because they announced that like, I don't know, like 3 years ago, whenever this book came out. But anyways, final book, and this is A Tale of Two Seasons by Paul Westphal, and it's an okay book. I used to be a big basketball fan when I was a kid, back when I was in junior high and high school, and a little bit into college, but that's kind of around the time I got out of it, and after college I just didn't have the time and didn't really care anymore. And the older I get, the more I just think sports are rigged, especially now with sports betting being legal. I just don't see any reason why they wouldn't rig it. I just think it's all rigged, honestly. But I'm still interested in reading basketball memoirs and stuff, and autobiographies, just to see what I could learn. I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Even though I think it's rigged, I do think basketball books are interesting. But Paul Westphal, I gotta say, not the most interesting storyteller. I was not big on this book. I thought it was just okay, but I didn't really pick up any lessons. Now, it's basically, it tells you, like, he has like one really good season coaching the Supersonics, and then he's got like this terrible season when he gets his first coaching job with some like no-name college in like the middle of nowhere. I don't know. And he's like, oh my god, like my worst season where I made no money was actually like my best season. Now let me tell you why. And as far as I could tell, I mean, he never told us why. I didn't really get it. And there was also like a lot of simping in this book for the nation of Israel, and it was just kind of random and pretty atrocious to say that genocide is good. Yeah, that just really was nasty. But even besides that, even if you took out all the weird like Israel stuff, I don't know why there was so much of that in there, but there was. Even if you took that out, it just is not really that good of a book. But I mean, I did read a lot of good stuff. I mean, those 2 books by David Grann and that big book of interviews are really awesome. I mean, those books were great. So I mean, it was an all right month. I mean, 3 really awesome books. One that was just okay with Killer Across the Table, and then Old Man in the Sea was kind of boring. A Tale of Two Seasons, not really good at all. But A Tale of Two Seasons is like less than 200 pages, so I did go through it in like 2 days. So it wasn't a difficult read. It just wasn't that interesting either. So yeah, that's what all I read in January. And like I said, I'm halfway through The Grapes of Wrath. I don't know what else I'll be reading in February. So yeah, maybe we'll have some more videos outside of the monthly recaps. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching.